We're here to talk about Dizzy Gillespie, one of the great cultural heroes of the 20th century, whose music will go on forever, and the men sitting around me can attest to that in many different ways. It's an endless subject, but I can start by talking to James Moody, who was here on my right, because I guess the first time I heard him, he was playing in Dizzy Gillespie's band at the Spotlight Club on 52nd Street.
Yeah, Dave Burns was in the band because, well, first of all, I was stationed in Greensboro, North Carolina. I was in the Air Force. And so we were going to be discharged because I had been in for almost 3 years. And so Dizzy was there, and he played at a place on the base called the Big Top. And so he said, when I get back to New York, I'm going to disband and get another band, so you all come and try out for the band. So I went and tried out for the band with Dave, and Walter Fuller told me, he said, you don't play loud enough. You don't, I mean, oh man, all the people there, man, I was bad. So I didn't get in. So about another month or so later, I went home at Pennington Court, Newark, New Jersey, and my mother was ironing, and under the sheet, she looked, and there was a telegram, and it said, you start with us tonight. And what it was like, the band was at the Spotlight, and Thelonious Monk was the piano player, Ray Brown bass, Milt Jackson vibe, Kenny Clark drums, you know, Ernie Henry, I mean, so I didn't know, like I went, and I never will forget. I said, Dave, what should I look out for? He said, well, the thing you should really look out for is a thing called Things to Come. So what he did was, he showed me the line. So when I got there, all I had to do was look at pop, pop, pop. I could see that, and then and then I knew that by heart. So that was cool. So that's how that started. But that was where I heard the word belligerent. I never heard that word before because I heard Clark Monroe, who was the so-called, he was the colored guy on 52nd Street, and we used to say, damn, he has a club here on 52nd Street, you know. I heard him tell Dizzy, I don't want that belligerent SOB here tomorrow, and I don't know who he was talking about, but the next night, John Lewis was the piano player. So I assumed that he was, you know, talking about Moon. And I'd like to add to it, like I was dead, but if a C chord would have jumped on my head, I wouldn't have known it, because I didn't know chord. So I'm just being truthful, you know. Right? You know, yeah.
Well, it's interesting, but recordings from the past keep coming up. And there's one of that band that Jerry Newman, who was the guy who used to go to Minton's with his disc cutter before tape, and he was a student at Columbia, and a lot of the stuff that he did up there came out. But turns out he was at the Spotlight, and this is not a broadcast, it's Jerry with his disc cutter, and here's Moody, you know, loud and clear. And we had always thought that the records on Musicraft were Ray Abrams or one of the other players. I didn't realize Moody was in the band as early as he was.
Ray Abrams
was the other player, but this is unmistakably Moody. And the solos recorded on Our Delight and Ray's Idea are Moody, but everybody has been calling him something else for all these years. And everybody thought Moody's first solo recorded was Emanon, but you were already into it on the earlier recordings.
Oh, okay.
Can I bring up something that is right in tune with what Moody was saying? in 1949 when Coltrane and I got in the band, we had learned things to come melody also, because it wasn't something that we could sight read. So we got prepared too. So when Dizzy would call things like that, in fact, we went to Little Rock, Arkansas and played a gig, and we outnumbered the audience. We could have beat the audience up in a fight because the people say, "Go back and send Buddy Johnson. We don't hear no bebops." So Dizzy pulls out things to come, and we pretty much got through it by the same the way like Moody was talking about. I learned it in advance.
But you also had to play "You Stole That." Stole My Wife, You Horse Thief.
Well, that's when he wanted to do a commercial record.
Yeah. Section. And tell them what the tempo is going to become was.
Oh, it wasn't as fast as Antonio was playing it now and slide. Yeah, I couldn't handle it at this tempo we're playing it now, even with rehearsing it and getting prepared.
Well, the first time I heard it was at the Spotlight, and I was not prepared for it. And you know, with that long, narrow club with the low ceiling, when that band hit, you know, it was like a mule kicking you in the stomach. It was unbelievable.
It was like a living room.
Yeah.
Almost. The place was small and the band was
that
so
band
powerful.
was so powerful. Things to come.
And the Spotlight, and it's no lie, the Spotlight was this wide from here to here, and then long down there, and that's where the stage was.
Yeah.
So people said the Spotlight. Hey, man,
Well, it was like all the clubs on 52nd Street.
Yeah, narrow.
Banquettes on either side, tables the size of a snare drum down the middle, and 2 aisles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, the Three Deuces, I know.
Yeah.
But how about the famous door? Was that narrow?
Yeah,
Like that too?
and the downbeat, they all were.
I went in all of those, but Three Deuces I remember. It was after the Spotlight.
That's when there were so many clubs, they were so small.
Yeah.
Well, now, Slide, when did you first encounter Dizzy?
My first encounter with Dizzy was in Indianapolis, and there was a place called the Sunset Terrace Ballroom. And all the band that played there were playing for dancing. So the people had heard the records of Dizzy, and they thought, well, we're not going to be able to dance to these guys' music, you know. But drummer played with the sticks backwards, Teddy Stewart. Teddy Stewart. And they danced more to Dizzy's music than they did to Lionel Hampton and those guys.
Oh, they were good dancers.
Well, no, but the music, they were swinging so much, you know.
All time.
Yeah, they were swinging. Really, the band was really swinging, and Dizzy was doing some really wild stuff. He was going around the hall, offering the police a smoke of hashies. Want something? You want something? You know. But the band was really wonderful. I don't remember. I know that Al McKibben was playing bass. I remember that, and Teddy Stewart. And the rhythm section was really. They were very danceable.
Wait a minute. That was the band I was in. But that wasn't the band with Coltrane?
Might have been. You guys might have been there. I'm not sure.
I heard of that
It was so
place.
exciting for me. I
heard of that place you were saying. What was it?
Sunset Terrace.
Sunset
Ballroom.
Terrace. I heard of that.
Well, Jimmy, you played with Dizzy before you played in this big band. You played with a small group, right?
No, the small group was after the
Afterwards,
big band.
okay. You played with Howard McGee
Yeah.
and went to Paris, right?
Yeah, but when Dizzy broke up the big band somewhere in 1950, he kept Coltrane and myself and Specs Wright and Percy and Baggs. And we played with that group for a while. So Train then went to tenor.
Right.
Because he had started to play tenor before he got with Dizzy. But the people who left, Ernie Henry, I think, and John Brown or something. Because I had John Brown's uniform. If you see it on that picture, man, I had to roll up to see John Brown was a big guy. And
He was short, but he was big.
yeah, he was thick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Coltrane had played tenor in Philly before he got with Dizzy, and we got in the band within a month apart, probably September and October of '49. And so after he broke it up, he realized that Train could play tenor too, Dizzy, so he kept Train on tenor. I stayed on alto.
Now on our